If I'm consistently uploading one video a year, does that mean I'm doing a regular upload schedule? Oh, it's all timey-wimey.
Timey what? Timey-wimey?
We've been here before. We've done one for Christopher Eccleston returning to Big Finish. We've done one to celebrate Jodie Whittaker finishing her role as the Doctor. And now here we are at the 60th anniversary, and myself and Paul, aka Shebogan, who have tried to get as much people together as we can once again to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the show. And we thought, instead of just picking a scene, why not? Let's just talk about full episodes. It's 60 years, why not? So first off, I just want to say the 11th Hour probably isn't my favourite Doctor Who story, but it was the first one that jumped out at me when deciding what to talk about for this. I don't even think I've got a set-in-stone favourite in general, to be honest, and I'd be surprised if most other fans did, actually. I'd say I've got a loose top 5 that, depending on the day, can swap any of the episodes around, and that pretty much stays the same, those 5 episodes, but what ends up at the top changes from day to day. So for today, let's say it's the 11th Hour. Before I actually go into the episode itself, I'm just going to go back and recap stuff you already know, just for context on the landscape the 11th Hour was going into. The RTD era was fucking massive. Okay, now we're caught up, but seriously, this is the most popular the show ever was, and who knows, might ever be. And the fact that that era was coming to an end was big on its own, let alone the fact that the show would be continuing on without the same people involved. Stephen Moffat and Matt Smith had the monumental task of living up to what came before, and I'd say it's probably the hardest transition that the show's had to face since the first one with William Hartnell to Patrick Troughton in 1966. If this went wrong, the show was done for. And when you think about it, this was the first proper post-regeneration story since the show came back. Because when we start the revival, the Ninth Doctor's already kicking about when we first see Christopher Eccleston and Rose. And David Tennant was a kip for most of the Christmas Invasion, where RTD rightly put the focus of the change on how it was affecting Rose. This was the first time the focus was on the Doctor, with no previous characters to lean on. Post-regeneration episodes are a tricky thing to nail. Sometimes they backfire massively, setting the whole era off on the wrong foot, doing damage to the Doctor's reputation for years. Other times, the beginnings of what we'd like to get to later are there. A hint at the Doctor will come to know, just not quite the finished thing. Luckily, the 11th Hour, and the whole of Series 5 for that matter, is an absolute triumph and more than lives up to the legacy that precedes it. And as far as post-regens go, Matt Smith arrives fully formed with confidence and owns it from minute one. The episode has an interesting opening that I always forget about until I actually hit play. It picks up right where the End of Time left off, with the newly regenerated Doctor fresh from Gaussian all over the console, trying to gain control of the crashing TARDIS. It's an opening very much in the vein of RTD, loud, energetic, frantic. Even Murray Gold's score feels like a hangover from the previous era. All of this will of course be purposeful. Open the episode on an exciting set piece that keeps the audience engaged and willing to stick around for the episode proper. And after the squeaky clean new title sequence, we get to the start of the episode proper.
Thank you for the dolls and the pencils and the fish. It's Easter now, so I hope I didn't wake you. But honest, it is an emergency. There's a crack in my wall.
If it was up to me, I'd have started the episode here, but I understand why they didn't. The opening 10 to 15 minutes of the 11th Hour are my favourite in all of Who, and probably one of my favourite sequences from anything ever. I could spend the whole video just talking about that section alone, but I won't, because the rest of it's pretty alright as well. As soon as the TARDIS lands in Amelia's backyard, the tone feels different. You can tell we're in a new era, from the way it's shot to Gold's delicate fairy tale-like score, and little details like Amelia praying to Santa are just lovely. Matt Smith's great with kids, and it starts here with his chemistry with Caitlin Blackwood. It's silly how good the two of them are together.
Don't have a mum and dad, just an aunt.
I don't even have an aunt.
You're lucky.
I know.
As well as the usual post-regeneration confusion to be played with. There's a sense that Amelia needs the Doctor right now, and that the Doctor needs Amelia as well. Fish fingers and custard has become synonymous with this episode and this Doctor, but it's a great scene with the Doctor and Matt Smith playing it as if Amelia's just his equal and not just a random kid he met by mistake. Plus, the way she delivers this line might be the best reading in the entire history of the show.
Funny.
There's the setup to the episode's threat and an iconic crack in the wall before the Doctor asks the bolt.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. Do you know what the crack is?
What?
It's a crack.
What I really love is that if the Doctor didn't mess up and land years later, little Amelia would have just been his companion. And I think the reason it works for older Amy's character, that we feel bad it never happened, is because I think little Amy would have been a great companion. You can fully see the two of them working as a duo for the show. For this whole opening, you forget that you're watching the guy who's just replaced Tennant. It's just a strange man helping a little girl with her nightmares, and it's wonderful. Then the Doctor jumps back in his TARDIS and it all goes tits up. At this point in the episode, it's a bit more classic Doctor Who. The companion proper has been introduced, the Doctor is trying to find out what's going on, there's a big CGI snake thing, business as usual. So it sticks out a bit more from this point that it isn't David Tennant doing the investigating and elaborate exposition monologuing. So the episode works hard to bring you back on side with this new Doctor companion duo. It helps that Amy is Scottish, breaking the formula of only London-based companions up until this point. It might seem inconsequential, but it's little details like this that subliminally remove it from the previous era. The basic plot of the episode is there's an escaped prisoner hiding somewhere in Ledworth, and coma patients are asleep in their hospital beds but have been spotted walking about. And off to the side, Amy is coming to terms with the fact that her imaginary friend has come back into her life. Actually, they're probably the other way around, with Amy trying to come to terms with the Doctor as the main theme of the episode. And this is where this episode elevates itself from just another run-of-the-mill season era Doctor opener. This scene between Amy and the Doctor not only works in the context of the episode, but metatextually as well. Amy's doubting the Doctor is who he says he is. After all, how can he be? When the Doctor says, "Trust me for 15 minutes, that's Matt Smith. That's Stephen Moffat talking right through the fourth wall at the audience, saying, listen, we know we're not the other guys you liked, but just go with us for a bit and we'll prove we are who we say we are." And as Amy lets the Doctor go, we as the audience slowly let David Tennant and the 10th Doctor go. As each minute passes and Matt Smith proves that he is unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt, 100% the Doctor. It's interesting how things that were clearly set up to be staples of the era only appear in the 11th hour. Like the stylised photo memory thing that the Doctor uses just before talking to Rory for the first time. Almost in a Sherlock Holmes-esque detectiveness from the Doctor that just never gets used again. I wonder if the production team thought it didn't work as well as they thought, or maybe they didn't think it'd work in other episodes, or they might have just thought it was a bit shit, to be honest. Either way, it's interesting that this is its only use. The 11th hour is also great at setting up the arc for the series and teases things to come further down the line. Whether everything is tied up well, the further the strands go on, is a different discussion. But I think Stephen Moffat balances it well, as it could take you out of the moment by trying to set up something later. But here it brings genuine intrigue and excitement. The arc is more ingrained into the plot of the series here, rather than the odd mention of a few words like in the RTD era. It's woven through the series brilliantly, and that good work starts here. It also helps that they've got Olivia Colman saying it. There's not a single word that she could say that wouldn't have my full attention.
Time for what, Time Lord?
It's in the final climax where Moffat sets his flag down with the proclamation that he means business and he's not here to play. The episode is done. The plot is resolved nicely and the stage is set for an enjoyable series after a pretty good first episode. And then Matt Smith calls the invading aliens back to kick off, and one of the best Doctor moments was born.
What you've got to ask is, what happened to them? Hello. I'm the Doctor. Basically, run.
Smith literally steps through Tennant's face. It's not subtle, and it doesn't have to be because it works so well. Smith is so good here. If anyone still had any doubts he wasn't the real deal up to this point, they certainly weren't there now. Matt Smith is the Doctor, whether you like it or not, and luckily we do, very much. Matt Smith was the Doctor I started making videos on. If I had better editing software, I'd stitch together old clips with a holographic effect going from my first video up until the person I am here today in this video, but I don't, so oh well. And just before I forget, because I nearly did, this episode sees the introduction to the best TARDIS. Yes, you heard it right, the best TARDIS interior that the show's ever seen in the Pond TARDIS.
I'm in my nightie.
Oh, don't worry. Plenty of clothes in the wardrobe and possibly a swimming pool. So, all of time and space, everything that ever happened or ever will. Where do you want to start?
It's magical, it's alien, it makes you want to travel the universe with a madman. Perfect. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the playlist if you want to indulge in better videos than this one. The playlist will be here somewhere. It's also in the description. And do you know what? Here's one brilliant scene if you fancy a little bit of Jodie Whittaker in your life. Big thanks to everyone who did make a video. If you're watching this and you want to get involved and you think, oh, I've missed it, make one anyway. We'll add it to the playlist afterwards. I actually might be back with another video soon, which I haven't said in about 7 years, but you know, soon for me, 6 months is next week. We'll see. I don't know if it'll actually happen, but there's always hope that it won't. Bye.